The AirVersa Purel is the first thread-powered air purifier to hit the market, which is rad because I've been trying to reduce the number of Wi-Fi devices on my network. It's also quiet, compact, and works like a breeze in HomeKit. Yeah, I went there. But as a blind guy, I've got some issues with the Purel, and you might too, so definitely watch this video before you buy. Let's get into it. Greetings Internet, my name is Dustin and this is myHomeKithome, and here we look at the smart home with an Apple home and accessibility focus. Jumping in head first, I'll say that the AirVersa Purel is my preferred Apple home air purifier for most cases. Thanks to thread connectivity, it's super reliable and responsive as a connected smart home device. It's also got a pretty quick clean air delivery rate to efficiently clean the room's air while being compact and relatively quiet. However, there are a couple of things that I do want to talk about that might make you think twice about adding it to your HomeKit setup. Now, before we go any further, you should know that I did receive a review unit from the manufacturer, but that's as far as their participation in this review goes, and they're seeing it at the same time as you. As always, check out the affiliate links down below if you're considering picking one up, and you'll also find a link to our full written review over at myhomekithome.com. So let's begin as we do and see what we get inside the box and look at some of the features of this smart air purifier. Alright, let's break this thing down. The AirVersa Purel features dual 3-stage HEPA 13 filters that can remove particulates like pet dander, dust, and other large contaminants like pollen down to 0.3 microns, as well as unwanted odors. Right on top of the purifier is the touch display with adaptive brightness and a color-changing LED, which displays all sorts of information, but we'll get into this in more detail momentarily. The Purel is intended for small to medium rooms up to 28 square meters with a clean air delivery rate of 221 square meters per hour. It does expose its PM2.5 sensor to HomeKit, but it doesn't have onboard PM10 nor TVOC sensors. However, the HEPA 13 carbon filters should take care of larger particulates and most VOCs. Speaking of the filters, you should get around 3,000 hours of runtime out of them before needing to replace them at about $30 for the pair. This air purifier is pretty quiet too, ranging from between 23 and 53 decibels depending on the fan speed. The AirVersa Purel acts as a full thread router, fortifying and extending your thread network. So in order to get the most out of the Purel, you will need a thread border router like the 2nd generation HomePod, HomePod Mini, or an Apple TV 4K with thread. Okay, so now that we've covered the features and specs, let's get it set up. After removing the plastic from the filters and plugging it in, you'll want to either launch Apple's Home app or the SleekPoint app. Here I'm using Apple's Home app, and you'll scan the QR code, which you can find on the back of the device or in its packaging. Once it's connected, you'll put it in a room, give the purifier and the PM2.5 sensors their names, add it to any automations, and Bob's your uncle. While we're here, let's go ahead and look at what we can do with it in Apple's Home app. As you might expect, we can power the purifier on and off and change the fan speed from between 0 and 100%, with the actual fan speed changing at about every 20%. We can also engage the child lock, which I personally dig because this purifier will likely wind up in my toddler's room. Also in HomeKit, we can toggle between manual and auto modes, but you'll notice that sleep mode is missing. We'll talk more about this in a minute. Apple's Home app also gives us access to the current PM2.5 levels read by the device, displayed as a general air quality level and as the specific PM2.5 density. We can use these measurements to create specific automations in HomeKit to improve the room's air quality, like obviously turning on the air purifier, but maybe also switching on a fan to help move air around the room, or to change the color of a smart light to reflect the room's air quality. Now, with Valentine's Day right around the corner, the AirVersa Purel would make a great gift. But you know what else would make an excellent gift? Any of Extra's premium smart wallets and accessories. They offer a wide range of wallets, including high-quality leather, aluminum, and carbon fiber models, all with AirTag holders. The carbon fiber AirTag card holder quickly became my everyday go-to. Their line of EDC accessories are pretty sweet as well, with a number of card and key trackers and holders. They've even got a super minimalist MagSafe card holder which securely snaps to the back of your phone for quick access to the cards you use the most. And now through February 28th, you can get up to 35% off any of Extra's smart wallets and accessories by using promo code myHomeKithome at checkout or by going to shop.extra.com/myHomeKithome. Spoil your significant other or even yourself this Valentine's Day with some first-class everyday essentials. Check out the links down below to save big, and thank you to Extra for sponsoring today's video. Okay, now let's head over to the SleekPoint app and see what other features the Purel has to offer. Something I really like about this app is that it has an express mode that uses your Apple Home data to give you full access to the Purifier without having to create an account. In the SleekPoint app, supposedly we can do everything we can do in Apple's Home app, in addition to setting timers, turning on sleep mode, which turns off the display and sets the fan to even lower than its lowest setting. We can turn off adaptive brightness altogether, as well as a few other features, but unfortunately I couldn't test this because the SleekPoint app isn't the most accessible if you use a screen reader. While navigability is pretty standard and intuitive in terms of layout, many of the navigation buttons either aren't labeled at all or are labeled in a way that doesn't make it abundantly apparent what those buttons actually do. Even the toolbar tabs are unlabeled, which means as a blind user, I have to go into each tab and swipe through in order to know what that tab actually does, and that's if all the buttons are labeled and the image is tagged with alt text, which they're not. As for the Purel itself, I can get basic info like the air quality level and the power status, but the other feature toggles are unlabeled, so I really have no idea what they do. However, I was eventually able to get the device's firmware updated, which is a lot more than I can say for some other apps. I reached out to SleekPoint and asked about these accessibility issues, and although they weren't able to give me a time frame, they were really receptive to my concerns and said that they would be adding it to their update roadmap. The good news is that most of this air filters features are exposed to Apple Home and therefore accessible using VoiceOver, so I can control it for the most part. But if the screen is a bit too bright while my daughter's napping, I do need to ask my wife for help, and she can just toggle sleep mode from the touch display. Like I said earlier, this touch display not only has a color-changing LED ring which reflects the current room's air quality, but it also displays the current PM 2.5 levels as well as the network connectivity and the filter life. It also has a number of touch-sensitive buttons which allow you to power on and off the device and select the different fan speeds, choose between the different modes, set timers, engage and disengage the child lock, as well as reset the filter life status indicator. This is all really useful and convenient. That is, if you can see it. And I'm not talking about the air quality indicator or the PM 2.5 readout or even the filter life status indicator. Like I said earlier, I can just get this information from Siri. Since there's no tactile feedback at all, the best I can do is just randomly tap around on the screen until something happens, and even then, I don't really know what I did. What I really want to be able to do is to put it into sleep mode, which I can't even do in the app. Like I said, SleekPoint is working on these accessibility issues, but for now, this just leaves me wanting. With all this being said, you might think that I wouldn't recommend this air purifier, but this isn't the case at all. The AirVersa Purel is one of the best air cleaners available for your Apple Home, and in fact is my #1 recommendation. It cleans your air just as well as the competition, it's ultra reliable, super snappy, and won't bog down your Wi-Fi thanks to Thread, and let's not forget about its pretty reasonable price point, coming in at around $170 in the US at the time of recording. And the replacement filters are also really affordable, going for just $30 for the pair. Even if you do have a visual impairment or otherwise can't take full advantage of the touch display, it's still a great device worth considering. And if you are, consider using our affiliate links down below. They help us to continue to create content at no extra cost to you. If I missed something or if you have any questions, let me know in the comments section down below. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Take care.